Introduction: The Power of the Mind and the Path to Peace. In today's fast-paced world, it's easy to become overwhelmed by the constant flow of information and emotions that bombard our minds. We often find ourselves trapped in cycles of anxiety, stress, and overthinking, unable to find clarity or peace. Our thoughts seem to be in control rather than us mastering them. However, what if I told you that you already possess the key to break free from this mental chaos? Through the wisdom of Buddhism, you can regain control of your mind and achieve the clarity and peace you've been searching for. Buddhism offers a profound pathway to peace, not through suppression of the mind, but through mindful awareness, compassion, and conscious living. The teachings of the Buddha are not just for monks or scholars. They are for anyone seeking balance and fulfillment in life. They provide the tools necessary to navigate the storm of thoughts and emotions, ultimately guiding us toward inner peace. Lesson 1: Observing without judgment. The first lesson from Buddhist teachings that can transform our minds is the practice of observing thoughts without judgment. We often label our thoughts as good or bad, right or wrong, which only keeps us locked in an endless cycle of mental chatter. But if we can observe our thoughts without attaching meaning or judgment to them, we can begin to free ourselves from this cycle. Imagine your mind as the sky and your thoughts as passing clouds. Some clouds are dark, heavy, and stormy, while others are light and fluffy. But no matter what kind of clouds they are, they will pass. If we can learn to observe our thoughts in the same way, we can become like the sky, vast, unbroken, and unaffected by the passing storms. This practice creates space for peace to emerge, even in the most chaotic moments. An ancient Buddhist parable of the two arrows explains this principle beautifully. The first arrow represents unavoidable pain, loss, disappointment, or suffering. The second arrow is the extra suffering we add by judging, blaming, or feeling sorry for ourselves. The first arrow is inevitable, but the second arrow is optional. When we observe our thoughts without judgment, we can avoid shooting the second arrow and reduce the unnecessary suffering in our lives. I'll share a personal story here to illustrate this. A few years ago, I encountered a significant setback at work. I could have easily spiraled into frustration, anger, and self-doubt. But instead, I chose to observe my thoughts without judgment. I allowed myself to feel the frustration without labeling it or attaching negative meanings. In doing so, I discovered a sense of calm amidst the storm of emotions, which helped me make clearer decisions moving forward. Lesson 2: Detaching from the ego. One of the core teachings of Buddhism is the idea of non-attachment. Our ego thrives on identifying with our thoughts, desires, and experiences. We become attached to the ideas of who we think we are, our successes, failures, and everything in between. However, Buddhism teaches us that we are not our thoughts. Our thoughts are simply transient mental activity that arises and passes away like clouds in the sky. We, however, are the vast open sky, free from attachment. When we cling to our thoughts and desires, we strengthen the ego, which leads to suffering. The more we identify with our thoughts, the more we trap ourselves in cycles of pride, self-doubt, and confusion. The ego thrives on attachment, but the Buddha's teachings show us that true peace arises when we detach from the ego and simply observe our thoughts without judgment. One of the most powerful practices to detach from the ego is mindfulness. When a thought arises, whether positive or negative, Remind yourself that it is just passing through. It is not who you are. You are the awareness observing it. I often remind myself, this thought is passing through, but it does not define me. This simple mantra helps me release attachment to the ego and live with greater mental clarity and peace. Lesson 3. Embracing the present moment. A major source of our mental suffering comes from dwelling on the past or worrying about the future. We replay old conversations in our minds or worry about future events that haven't even happened yet. In both cases, we miss the only moment that truly matters, the present moment. Buddhist teachings, particularly in Zen tradition, emphasize the importance of living fully in the present. The present is where peace resides, and when we focus on the here and now, we free ourselves from the mental tug of war between past regrets and future anxieties. As the Buddha said, the mind is everything. What you think, you become. Being present allows us to create a space for peace to enter. A simple technique to ground ourselves in the present is the 5 senses exercise. When I feel overwhelmed by thoughts, I pause and engage my senses. I ask myself, what are 5 things I can see? What are 4 things I can touch? What are 3 things I can hear? This exercise shifts my attention away from racing thoughts and brings me back to the here and now. Lesson 4. Cultivating Compassionate Thinking. Negative thoughts often arise from 2 sources: self-criticism and judgment of others. We are often our harshest critics, and we carry resentment toward others. These negative thought patterns lead to emotional turmoil, stress, and dissatisfaction. Buddhist teachings offer a powerful antidote to this: compassion. The practice of metta, loving kindness, meditation allows us to transform negative thoughts into feelings of goodwill and compassion. By extending kindness to ourselves and others, including those with whom we may have conflicts, we can heal our minds and create a peaceful mental environment. I've personally found that practicing loving kindness opens my heart and clears my mind of judgments and criticisms. A simple metta meditation involves silently repeating phrases such as, may I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be free from suffering. Then extend these wishes to others, from loved ones to neutral people, and even to those with whom you have difficulty. Lesson 5. Simplifying your mental space. In today's information age, our minds are constantly bombarded with thoughts, worries, and distractions. This mental clutter creates stress and hinders clarity. Zen teachings emphasize simplicity, not only in our external lives, but in our mental space as well. The practice of simplifying your mental space involves letting go of unnecessary thoughts, worries, and attachments. By doing so, you create room for mental clarity and focus. I practice this by consciously releasing one unnecessary thought each day, whether it's a worry about the future or a regret from the past. This practice helps create space for calm and clarity in my mind. Conclusion: the path to inner peace. Buddhism provides us with a clear roadmap to cultivate inner peace. By practicing mindfulness, detaching from the ego, embracing the present moment, cultivating compassion, and simplifying our mental space, we can transform our relationship with our thoughts and develop a peaceful, focused mind. These practices don't require us to suppress our thoughts. They help us understand and observe them with kindness and awareness, allowing us to choose how we respond. The journey toward mental freedom begins with small steps. Start with observing your thoughts without judgment, letting go of attachments, being present, practicing compassion, and simplifying your mind. Each practice will bring you closer to the peace and clarity you seek. Final reflection: the power of choice. Remember, every thought offers an opportunity to choose peace. With consistency and dedication to these practices, you'll see the transformation unfold in your life, bringing you closer to the mental freedom and clarity you've always desired. This piece will cover these topics and integrate a comprehensive exploration of the Buddhist wisdom, including stories, historical teachings, and actionable advice for living a life of peace and mindfulness. The stories of great Buddhist teachers, like the Buddha and their timeless lessons, will enrich the piece and offer relatable examples of how these teachings can be applied in modern life.